It's Friday, and I'm back with the next in our Fanzine Friday series. Today we're taking a look at First Encounter number 1. Please stick around. I'm AZ Mountaineer. This is our channel, Old School Rules, where we celebrate the community of old school gamers and grognards who like classic RPGs, miniatures, magazines, and everything that goes with it. Each week on our Fanzine Friday series, we take a fanzine from my collection off the shelf for a closer look. And today, from June of 1982, from Canada, this is First Encounter number 1. Hope you enjoy the video. Today we're taking a look at a new fanzine. This is from, as I mentioned, from Canada. Kelly Villemaire is the person who principally responsible for putting this together. First Encounter, there were a total of 8 issues of this fanzine that were created back in the early 80s. It's published under Western Canada Press. But Kelly is really the one responsible for putting this all together. As you can see here, this one was free. I think he distributed it with through some game stores, and also they had Delf, D-E-L-F, if you're familiar with that company, which had a couple of products. And the one I'm most familiar with is Lair of Medusa, which is a great adventure that they created. So here's our cover. And the highlights, he points out the cover contest, send in your art. As you notice, they don't have any yet. Some miniature reviews, fiction, quizzes, articles, etc. So let's take a look at the table of contents. It's pretty short. It's about 20 pages total. It's full-sized 8.5 by 11 and just stapled at the top. We got a short editorial, an article about the different types of pole arms, Paradox, which is sort of a sci-fi type of fiction. Have you ever played, which is a really cool feature, and we're gonna, if you stick around to the end, as a special bonus after the fanzine discussion, we're actually going to play our way through this together so you guys can play along, see how that goes. It'll make more sense when we talk about it. Figure review, which is talking about miniatures, and then the crossword puzzle. Kelly basically does all of this except for the fiction, which is done by Larry, I think it's Jeselon. So the first thing I'll talk about, just the inside cover of the fanzine announces the first Dragon's Lair Open D&D tournament. I thought people might think this is kind of interesting. Back in June of 1982 up in British Columbia, first prize wins the complete set of TSR handbooks, including the Dungeon Master's Guide. I think they just mean the AD&D. I think they mean the AD&D stuff. Second prize, a set of Thieves Guild system. Tomes of Shale Tune, Duke's Dress Ball Against the Black Hand Assassination. Third place gets the set of Midkemia. I think I'm saying that right, but maybe not. A Cities, Black Tower, City of Kars, Town of the Outlands, and Toulon of the Isles. So cool stuff, and we'll talk. I've got a lot of that stuff. I don't know if I have all that stuff, but we will talk about that at some point down the road. And here's a little bit of information about the fee and so forth that you got to do to get in. Here's his editorial. Since it's the first issue, I think it's a little interesting to pause for a moment and read this, what Kelly has written. How are you fantasy role players and war gamers doing lately? Snuff out some half-orcs or take over a city with your troop? I thought I should tell you a bit about this magazine, which some friends and myself have put together. Not put together to cut up other magazines like Dragon or White Dwarf, Sorcerer's Apprentice, but to work around some of their ideas to better assist you in gaming. Obviously, first issue, primarily about AD&D, but he says we'll take a look at other things, including wargaming, Civil War, Napoleonics, etc. I'm always on the lookout for good art, as you mentioned on the cover, and you'll see there's basically no art in here. And he does intend to cover things like Tunnels and Trolls, RuneQuest, Traveler, etc., etc. Okay, so let's take a look at the first article that Kelly has here. It's called Pole Arm Weapons. He says, why are we doing an article on pole arms? And essentially says, my players always tell me what type of pole arm they want, but they don't really understand what they are and what the difference is. And as he says, a pole arm is a little bit more, complex than just a weapon at the end of a stick. And so he talks a little bit about them. I think it's interesting. You may know Gary Gygax was a sort of huge history buff, and he was a big fan of the different types of pole arms, and that's how we end up with whatever it is, 15 or so different types of pole arm weapons in the Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Player's Handbook. And as he says, a polearm is a little more complicated than just being a weapon on the end of a stick. It's just a strategic weapon used usually by infantry to give them an advantage striking an opponent and also holding that opponent at a distance so that they cannot be struck in return. Could have been used in close combination against both infantry or cavalry of the opponent. And as we'll see, some of these are designed to both do damage as well as unseat or unhorse someone who might have been attacking the person who's got the polearm. The simplest one, of course, is the spear, but of course a spear, generally speaking, is a shorter attacking or thrusting weapon and isn't actually long enough to be considered a polearm, because a normal spear, say a 5-foot or 6-foot staff or shaft, doesn't really keep the other person from being able to attack, right? So in essence, the basic lance or pike, lance being held from horseback and pike being used by infantry, are longer, right? Maybe say 10 feet, 15 feet long, and are effective in that way. Here's some closer looks at the tip. And then they say, and this is a really cool thing that I only noticed relatively recently about the Ranseur. I think it's my fighters from now on going to consider having this, because the Ranseur can disarm an opponent. And under the rules, I believe you only have to strike against armor class 8, and then you can take that weapon away from an armed opponent, which is a huge advantage to a group, right? Because one, you ignore basically their dexterity and their armor class from their armor, and two, then the guy gal doesn't have a weapon. It's a pretty cool thing. Not great in confined spaces, but if you can get away with it in your campaign, you should be thinking about it. Okay. So his next, he has a few questions and answers. He gives himself questions in here. And he talks about, is the halberd the same as a poleaxe? He says they're similar. If you look over at the poleaxe on the side, you see a sort of a cutting weapon. And then the one has like a hammer back. The other one has like a spear tip. He says that's the first thing you think about with these polearms. You got to look at the blade to figure out how they would be used. Right, because if it's one thing in a dungeon, you could use a stabbing weapon straight ahead, but one that has a blade, you got to get some space to get the arc of a swing going. The Vogue and the Bardiche are both similar, right? They have that curved blade. Now, the Vogue sort of also has a pointy part you could use to hook somebody, and a lot of these have that combined attack structure into the metal part. The same thing with this axe here in the middle. That little hooking part was designed to try and get a hold of a person. And here we see the halberd, which these designs have both a chopping and a stabbing part to the metal at the end of the shaft. We also have the parson and the septum. He said, hey, these are, what do these things look like? And essentially they're spears with these little curved or pointed things at the side that do a better job of holding someone back from being able to get to you, the person who owns the weapon. What do these falchions and falchion forks look like? The falchion is essentially a slightly curved blade. You got maybe a little bit of stabbing with a point and some swinging involved. The falchion fork is a more evolved weapon that has different places where you could stick somebody, and you can also sort of use that to gain leverage and try and disarm somebody. He describes the glaive as essentially being a knife blade at the end of a long shaft. Okay, so here's the various, I'll say guisarmes, maybe mispronouncing it, why there's so many different types of guisarmes. And he says essentially look at the different designs and keeping in mind swinging, stabbing, and hooking, which would be the three sort of things you would typically do with these. And that's essentially, you can see how those weapons are designed to be used. And then if we go back here, we look at the what's the lucerne hammer, which remember typically has a point at the end for stabbing, as well as either a flat or clawed hammer that you could swing and do some bludgeoning damage. And then some of them might even have a blade for cutting or stabbing, as hooking a little bit as well. And then we see the military forks, which are essentially a stabbing and hooking weapon. Okay, the next section here is called Have You Ever Played? And it takes up a large section of the fanzine. And if you stick around to the end, we're actually going to play our way through that. And you guys can watch me attempt to do this. So this idea they have is called Have You Ever Played? And every issue gives you like a different character class, race, etc., and maybe different opponents. So this is called a half-orc cleric assassin in an underwater adventure. So we plan to put this in every issue of the magazine to test your skills as a dungeoneer and your knowledge of AD&D rules, monsters, etc. This mini test or quiz offers you an adventure in various caverns, rooms, or whatever, where you are to choose what seems to be the best reaction to what you're encountering. It is not possible in some areas of the module to enter a room, pick what seems the best choice. You have to basically pick from what's there. You may still sustain some damage, but you have to pick the one that is the best, right? It's sort of like an old school test. Not all answers are perfect, but you got to pick the best one. Here's our character, Groff Slimetong, half-orc, 4th level cleric, 5th level assassin. Armor is leather, has a +3 bastard sword, so enchanted, light crossbow, flail of swift moving, and a dagger, which has a poison injector. His spells are create or destroy water, cure cost light wounds, remove cost fear, detect evil or good. 2nd level, no alignment, silence, 15-foot radius, hold person or snake charm. And then from a scroll, he has speak with animals, remove or cause curse, in continual light or darkness. Has rations, quiver, bolts, sack, ring of warmth, a waxed spellbook, a backpack, and 50-foot magic rope that only one time can be used to wrap around your victim. And you can only pick or use a spell from the list one time. So that's the background. And like I said, if you stick around to the end, we'll play our way through this adventure. Here are the miniature reviews. I blew up the pictures a little bit to help you see. The first, we have an ape and an elf from Raoul Partha, and he likes both those quite a lot. I think he gives them 9 out of 10. These are gnolls from Citadel. He says they look a little bit more like gnomes, but still he thought the weapon choices and the expression, etc., were pretty good. I think he gave it 6 out of 10. And then finally, these are heritage figures, and they're kobolds. Well, we thought the actual sculpting was not all that great. He did like the fact he felt like the kobolds really do track the image from the AD&D monster manual, and so he liked these. He liked these as well. The next section we have here is a crossword puzzle. I had another fanzine with a crossword puzzle. I said I was going to do it. I didn't do it. I need to dig that out, and then I'm going to do this one. Maybe I'll shoot a video, let you all look at me and laugh as I attempt to do this. I'm not very good at crossword puzzles. I don't know if I, by some miracle, would be better at a crossword puzzle that was D&D based. I kind of doubt it, but maybe we'll find out together. This one's pretty big. Here's an advertisement for the comic shop in Vancouver. I just kind of thought the ad itself was pretty cool. And then here at the back, they've got some advertising from another store, a little troll down here. Come on into our store, human scum, says the troll. And then he's got the answer to his crossword puzzle. Again, that's it for our review of the first encounter. If you stick around, what comes next is we're going to do the Have You Ever Played in real time. And so I will do that for those of you who are sticking around to watch how that goes. Here we go. Have you ever played the half-orc cleric assassin? And I'm going to make sure I get his stats pulled up in front of me so I can refer back to that as we go along in case I need to use a spell or something. All right. I don't think I need dice. I'll pull those out if I do. All right, here we go. You've been traveling through an endless maze of tunnels searching for this cavern, which has a large rectangular pond in it. This pond now lies before you in the vast cavern with the ceiling covered with stalactites. Yes, the type of cavern and pond described to you by a loud talking idiot at the Green Grass Inn. It was quite easy to talk to him into the alleyway, and you, being one of the best assassins in town, it was quite easy to slit his throat. Before the body had hit the ground, a voice came from behind you, and along with it a tall, cloaked, recognizable town official. He was sitting in the bar listening to the old fool, and just like you, and indeed he is not a member of the Assassin's Guild, so you once more drew your dagger and asked what he wanted. When you were mere inches away, he produced a large sack, which he said was for you if you could succeed in your mission. But what is the mission? Go down into the underwater cavern where the rectangular pond can be found, for there also can be found the famous potion for underwater breathing, an item much needed to assassinate King Glib, leader of a nearby aquatic elven tribe. In front of you lies the pond that will lead you to the aquatic elven lair, where the king dwells. He doesn't know it yet, but he could very well be dead by morning. And you could be rich. 6,000 gold pieces were promised to you. Seems like nothing for all the trouble you've gone to for what might lie ahead, but money is money after all. Here we go. Room number 1. There is what seems like an endless supply of sand surrounding the pool, which is in the direct center of the cavern. You find this odd since the ceiling has stalactites, so you definitely try to avoid being under them. As you go down to the edge of the pool, you notice that this is indeed not a pool but an underwater tunnel that leads downward. But how can you go down when you still do not see the bottle or flask that is supposed to contain the underwater breathing potion? You ponder to yourself if the fool you just killed by the end was a braggart. And just then you notice a flask with a blue liquid inside, lying in a puddle. You wonder if something is amiss, and you decide to, and here are my choices. Boot around the puddle with your boots to check for traps and pick up the flask and drink it. Bend down, pick it up, examine it, then drink it. Cast a destroy water spell, then pick up the flask from the ground and drink it. Take out your dagger with a poison tip, pick up the flask and drink it. Cast continual light on the end of the sword, dip it in the water to see what might be in it. Drop your magic rope around it. Pull it up fast. Remember, you can only use the rope one time. Cast remove curse, pick it up, and drink it. So many choices. Seems like I wouldn't want to use a spell quite this early. Okay, so I am going to boot around the puddle with my boots, checking for traps, and then I will pick up the flask and drink it. So let's see what happens here. A hidden crab grabs my boot. I take 2 hit points of damage. Stink. All right, so how many hit points do I have to start off with here? 11. Ruh-roh. Down at 9. All right. This doesn't bode well. This doesn't bode well. For those who can see down here, the answers are at the are at the bottom. If I'd cast destroy water, the crab would have been seen. If I just bent down, I would have taken 4 points of damage. If I used the dagger, I still would have taken 1 point. Continual light would have blinded him. The magic rope would have worked. Remove curse would have done nothing. All right. Well, here we go. Okay. Room number 2. And this is linear. Like you just, okay, there's a consequence. It's, sort of railroad. Like there's a consequence and then you just keep moving. Okay. Before you enter the water, you decide to put on a human disguise and slowly proceed in the water. And amazingly enough, thanks to the potion, you can breathe. At the bottom, you notice a 15-foot wide exit that goes down. On both sides of the exit tunnelway is a lot of shelled fish like mussels, clams, seaweed, sand. But swimming in the middle of the exit is an eel. Will you swim to the seaweed to hide in it till the eel goes by and attack him with my sword? Try to swim by. If it tries to attack, I'll stab with my sword. Cause light wounds and then swim by. Cast snake charm and swim by. Cast speak with animals and bribe it with food. Cast cause fear to swim through. Cast hold person. That won't work. Swim to the seaweed, hide in it till the eel goes by, and use magical rope to hold it and swim by it. Okay. So I think the eel is probably likely to attack. This is my logic. I don't believe it would be affected by a snake charm. You guys may be laughing now because you know this stuff. So I will cast Speak with Animals, and I will try to bribe the eel with food. I don't think it's sentient, so hopefully it will react. That's E. Okay. So you can see here the seaweed was weed eels, so that would have been more damage. If I tried to get by, I would have only taken 1 hit point. Cause light wounds would have killed it. Snake charm does nothing. Can't speak to it. I guess maybe he's not intelligent enough. I took 4 freaking hit points of damage. This is not good. I'm down to 5. Cause fear would have caused it to go away. Hold person, of course, doesn't work. In the seaweed would have been worse. Okay. I got like one attack left and want to get killed. This isn't going well. Room number 3. You enter the tunnelway and expect it to get dark, but it doesn't. You notice the rocks on the side of the wall illuminate the underwater tunnel. After traveling downward through the tunnel for quite a while, the tunnel starts to travel upwards steeply. You find yourself surfaced in an underwater chamber, where the chamber is half filled with air and half filled with water. You notice an exit the opposite wall and proceed to swim towards it. On top of the water, you notice something coming from the direction you were headed in. Just then a dorsal fin breaks the water. Will you cast Cause Light Wounds on the creature and attack it, cast No Alignment, then talk to it? When it comes out of the exit tunnel, attack it and surprise it. Cock your crossbow and fire it the second it comes in the tavern. Wait until it's all the way in and attack with a dagger. Cast Cause Blindness and attack it. I will cast, I'm tired of getting hurt. I'm casting Cause Blindness because I'm assuming all these creatures can see. It's a dolphin. So I could do some damage. He swims by friendly if you cast No Alignment because I talked to him. Regular attacking would do some damage, but somehow Cause Blindness works, but I still take a hit point of damage. That's ridiculous. All right. Oof, down to 4. All right. After leaving this half-filled cavern, you proceed down the 20-foot wide water-filled corridor and travel 80 feet. When you come across another cavern, this one's larger, completely filled with water. You proceed ahead 20 feet, notice a freshly killed bodies, plural. You move closer and notice that one body is an aquatic elf with a trident thrust into its chest. 2 feet besides the elf is the body of a creature that looks like a hobgoblin, except it has green skin, webbed hands and feet and gills. You stand there checking out the rest of the cavern when you feel something grabs your legs. You turn around and see that the severely wounded hobgoblin creature is still alive and kicking. You draw your sword about to hack the creature's hand off when you see 3 dolphins charging towards you at full speed. Cut off the creature's hand, grab the trident, and swim towards the exit. Cast Fear on the dolphin, then cut off the creature's hands. Cast Speak with Animals on the dolphins, which I already used, and tell them what's happening. Cast Cause Light Wounds on the creature, grab the trident to attack the dolphins. Hold person on the hobgoblin creature, kill it, then attack the dolphins. Cast Fear on the creature, try to swim away. Cast Cause Wounds on the dolphins and kill the creature with my flail. Pull out a holy symbol to turn the creature and cast Speak with Animals on the dolphins and explain what happened. Well, wish I had that spell. I probably would try it. But I will cast Fear on the dolphins and then cut off the creature's hand. Let's see what happens. Too slow. I could have just swam away. Apparently, that's the best option. I cast it, but I still take 1 point of damage. Good grief. If I could speak with animals, they would kill it for me. The dolphins otherwise would ram me if I try to go after the creature. Hold person, still kill the creature. Fear. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, cast Fear and outswim the dolphins. I didn't notice that. On the creature and outswim the. So apparently you can outswim the dolphins, which is surprising because I don't think that's realistic. All right. Well. All right, down to 3 hit points. I don't really know if there's an option at some point for me to heal myself. Here in a minute, I'm going to dig out some dice and heal myself, even if they don't give me that option. After getting out of the last predicament, you decide to be more careful and move more slowly. After leaving the chamber, you proceed through the cavern in an underwater hallway. Go 200 feet and you come to a dead end. There's an old rusted iron grate on the floor. You easily lift it, toss it aside, and proceed downward into a yet larger cavern, 450 feet in diameter. You slowly swim downward. You notice the cavern to be not as bright as the others, as the bright stones on the wall are not in this area. This ugly, dark place is in fact not encased in solid rock like the other caverns, but encased with mud walls, ceiling, and floor. You suddenly notice there is an exit from the cavern, and you can see beyond it is the great ocean bed. No more traveling in caverns anymore. You swim towards the exit when you notice beside the exit is a large boat encrusted with mud and barnacles. Just then, a humanoid creature rushes out from under the boat towards you. You can see this creature is what looks like an old lady with long, scraggly hair, warts, horns on top of her head, sharp, pointy fingers. It just hits you. This is a sea hag, the sea hag that you have heard so much about. Will you pull out your holy symbol to turn her? That doesn't work. Cast remove fear spell on myself to attack with the sword. Cast remove fear spell on yourself, attack with your flail. Cast remove fear spell on yourself. Cover your eyes and attack thrusting your newly found trident, which I didn't pick up. Cast remove fear on yourself. Avert looking at her eyes and attack with your sword. Move in up to her and throw your rope around her. Cast blindness on her and attack with a dagger. I used that already. And cast hold person on her and shoot her with a crossbow. I will I think the rules say hold person is only for the I think the races like elves, dwarves, humans, etc. I think hold, even though she's human-esque, I think maybe she needs to hold monster. I'm not sure. So that uncertainty, I will use my magic rope. That is F. All right. Oh my gosh. Well, apparently I have not heard enough about the sea hag's gaze. Yeah, I did not recognize that. Could have cast hold person according to them. Yeah, instant death. All right. Well, so much for that. I am dead. It doesn't even matter if I had healed myself. So, all right. We'll assume I'm alive. We'll keep going here. After you leave the final cavern, you find yourself at the bottom of the sea, and you spot the aquatic elven village. Okay, well, I'm dead. I'm going to keep going, just for fun. All right, you leave the final cavern and find yourself at the bottom of the sea, and you spot the aquatic elven village that you have been told about. You almost missed it because this walled village is made of coral and shells surrounded by seaweed. You look up and notice you're 1,000 feet underwater, which gives you a real feel of power to think you have reached a spot where no man has gone and lived to tell about it, which I didn't. You quickly put your aquatic elf disguise, that's convenient, and move towards the village. On the way to the village, you're passing a patch of seaweed when you spot, coming around the other side of the seaweed, a lacedon, a marine variety of ghoul. This creature is almost within reaching distance. Should you wait until it comes around and ambush it with your sword, tie it up with magical rope and cut its throat, cast fear, then attack with the trident, present the holy symbol and say, "Begone, vile creature." Quickly realize you are in an aquatic elf disguise and walk by it fearlessly. Cast cause blindness and attack it. Wait until it comes around the ambush and shoot it with your crossbow. Speak with animals and offer it food. That's not going to work. So I'm going to try the holy symbol. That's D. And it works. No damage. Other things would cause you to cause a little bit of fighting damage. But you're not an elf, right? So you're not immune. 4 hit points if you try to walk past it. Many other things still cause you to end up taking a little bit of damage, except speak with animals does nothing. Okay. At the large coral walls of the elven village, there is a large shell door which you knock on. Guards come to the door, let you in because of the disguise. You inquire as to the location of the emperor, and as you belong there, and they calmly tell you in the temple, as always, and you proceed to the temple thinking this is going to be a piece of cake, but as you enter the temple, you notice it is dark and dingy, not like most temples you've seen, but you don't care how clean they are. You go down the center of the temple, but at the end you see on the left a doorway, the doorway to the emperor's chambers, somehow you know. As you move ahead, a saltwater naga quickly appears from the shadows and bars your way. It is casting a spell at you. What do you do? Cause light wounds and attack. Dispel magic and attack with the flail. Speak with animals to tell it you're a friend. Snake charm and walk past. Continual darkness and attack. Obscure alignment to walk by. Remove fear or cause blindness. Well, if I were by a miracle alive, I've already used some of these spells, right? But I think if it's casting, I think I want to disrupt that. I don't think Snake Charm will work. And so I think I would cast Cause Light Wounds and attack, because I think that will disrupt it. Let's see what happens. It works, but you still take 3 points of melee damage. Dispel Magic would cancel the no alignment spell that it was casting. Speak with animals doesn't work. Snake Charm doesn't work. Darkness doesn't work. Obscure alignment would. That's what it was trying to do. Interesting. All right, well, flub that one a little bit. Let's see what happens. You open the door to the emperor's chamber. You see the king sleeping amazingly enough on his bed. You approach the bed and notice the room is quite nicely decorated, but quite small for a king. You're just about to cut the king's throat when your poison dagger, when the door opens, and now elven guards rush in towards you, and this first one comes in, throws a trident. Just one elven guard comes in, throws a trident. Cut throat, cast cause light wounds on the guard and attack. Cutthroat, cast cause fear. Cutthroat, cast continual darkness. Cutthroat, silence. Cutthroat, hold person. Cutthroat, shoot crossbow. Cutthroat, cast hold person. Cutthroat, shoot crossbow. So I guess I'm going to cut the guy's throat, and that's I'm an assassin, so we'll do that first, right? So I think I cut the throat and cast silence and attack with my sword. Oh, here's one. Cutthroat, cast hold person, and silence 15-foot radius. My goodness. Because I think I want the silence to protect me. Let's see what happens. You kill the king every single time. All right, guard is wounded, cringes. He has infravision, so he's not bothered by the darkness. The battle is quiet, and you take 1 hit point of damage. Okay. Hold person, he would yell and then see more people come in. If you'd cast silence, you could also overdo it. Here I can finally cast Cure Light Wounds for only 2 more hit points. All right. You leave the Coral Village on a job that was fairly easy. Decide to take a different route back. With the king's ring in your hand for proof, you begin counting the money in your head. Your thoughts are broken when you stumble upon a barnacle-encrusted chest with some sort of carvings on the side. Curiosity gets the best of you, and you decide to open it. It takes quite a while and a bit of difficulty, but it springs open, and what springs out is a water weird. Good job. You instantly react by casting Cause Light Wounds, casting Snake Charm, attack with your sword, attack with your flail, cast Fear, cast Destroy Water. I cast Destroy Water. I remember that's pretty good, I think. It works somewhat. No damage. Find a golden crown worth 5 game points, whatever that means. And then otherwise you're going to have to run away. Okay. Okay. Encounter number 11. After killing the vile creature, you proceed to the cavern only to find out that it has caved in. Panic strikes as you know your time will run out. You notice a small cave entrance to the right that you never noticed before. You move the seaweed blocking it aside and proceed up through a 6-foot wide tunnel. You go up hundreds of feet. When the tunnel starts to go down a bit and comes to a dead end, but but upon close observation, you can see there is a secret door. You open the door and see another tunnel leading up on a 45-degree angle. You travel about 200 feet and you notice there is no more water in the tunnel. Up ahead is a wooden door. You go to the door, you open it. Inside, beyond the door is a beautiful room with a table, chair, silk carpets, bed, silk sheets, cupboard full of fresh vegetables and food. And you see a humanoid figure approaching from another entrance. You pull out your sword expecting battle, only to see a young, beautiful woman dressed in beautiful silk clothing carrying a towel. She walks to the corner of the room where there is a beautiful gold bathtub. You're not sure, but you figure she might be a princess or something like that. She slowly undresses and is about to hop in the tub when she turns towards you. What will you do? Apologize and show her your wounds. Cast Hold Person on her and explain to her how you got in and apologize. Pull out your holy symbol and tell her you're here to ward off evil spirits. Cast Remove Fear on her and ask her to help you out. Cast Silence 15-foot radius so she can't call her guards. Run past her quickly, apologizing. Shoot her with a crossbow so she can't call her guards. Run past her quickly, ignoring her. Attack her with your +3 sword. So I believe I would cast Hold Person. I don't trust her, right? Yeah, cast Hold Person. Let's see what happens. It is a nymph, and she laughs, and I die. All right. Apparently, seeing her disrobed will kill me. Let's see. Even if I try to run past quickly, I die. If I shoot her with my crossbow, I die. Only if I run by quickly ignoring her would I get away. That's the only way past. Well, that one's tough. After leaving the room, there's a 10-foot wide tunnel leading directly to the outside. 1 mile to town, you get your money, and you win. Well, that was a long one, and I was pretty awful as the half-orc cleric assassin. I probably died 3 times or something like that in there. But that's the bonus here. It was a lot of fun. If they have those in future issues, we'll do those again. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you are enjoying our series, and I hope you're subscribed. If you have friends who might enjoy our content, please send them our way, and hopefully they will be subscribers as well. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Until next time, keep rolling 20s.